just a bloke in a bar.
I guess the concern I have is, as I said, let's just say New South Wales lose. Apologies, but let's just say there is a world where that happens.
Highly likely.
Highly likely. Like, and Dylan Edwards does go out and play this weekend. I mean, like, that will cause tension within the camp, because now you've got a club Penrith Panthers that are currently the big dogs in the NRL that clearly disagree with Michael Maguire. I do believe that might be a bit of knock-on, but before I get to that, I have to say, again, a massive thank you to Mike Coolman. As we've been saying on the podcast, we're giving away, well, Mike Coolman is giving away some Bloke fridges, portable fridges. So what you got to do is, when you get a chance, come up, you scan a QR code, which is just over there when you get a chance, and you've got to be following Mike Coolman on Instagram for a chance to win one of these portable refrigerators that are absolutely outstanding. I think they retail for around $450, $500, so it's a bloody good portable refrigerator. So go over there, you can scan the QR code to go in, and it will be drawn tomorrow. So a massive thank you to Mike Coolman for helping put on this event. And as I said, they're giving away a Bloke portable refrigerator. There's a QR code. All right.
They're cooler than Daily Cherry Evans under pressure. So you want to get one of those. You want to make sure you get one of those.
Okay. Now, in regards to, let's talk about some positional stuff on the New South Wales team. I'd love to know, are we, just a general consensus, are New South Wales fans happy with the squad overall? Hands up if you're happy with the squad. Okay, all right. All right.
He gets it.
He gets it. Okay. Now, obviously, Brian Toto on the wing, I think we can all agree Brian Toto, one of the greatest wingers ever.
Quadzilla.
In my opinion. And also, he's stacking up one of the best careers ever for a winger in Origin. You go and look at Brian Toto's Origin performances. Honestly, you could put that, at least in the modern era, you could put Brian Toto against nearly any winger that's played the game. Now, does he score, the crazy tries that, maybe in Israel Folau did on the wing or something like, or players like Izzy? Maybe not. But in saying that, I don't think there's been ever a winger that's played as many games as Toto and averaged over 200 metres per game.
Going into a game one in Sydney, there's no winger I would rather have than Brian Toto. He is perfectly suited for a game like this.
Yeah. What do you reckon, is Toto for a big one? Potentially man of the match?
Has Toto ever not been in for a big one in a big game, whether it's a grand final, an Origin game? He links up with an all-left edge of the Penrith Panthers. Luai there, Crichton, Toto. Defensively, you add Angus Crichton into that. Have fun trying to get through that.
You had a bit to do, actually. Hammy with Sportsbet, obviously our partners at Sportsbet. You had a bit to do with the boys in camp. Yep. Was there any vibes, any insights you can give us?
Yeah, gamble responsibly, of course. When I sat down with him earlier in Origin camp, he was full of beans, I think would probably be the best way to sum it up. He let a couple rip. Maybe the winds have changed, blowing through the tunnels of a core stadium. He looked ready to go, though. He's a very impressive player.
Do you reckon there could be concerns about team morale in New South Wales because he's stinking so much?
Well, him and Stephen Crichton actually combined well. They were both farting quite a lot. So
farting to each other?
That might be something to watch out for the Maroons fans tonight. Yeah.
Anytime fart?
Yeah.
Is that what's anytime fart?
Market suspended with those two.
All right. Before we get to the rest of the squad, we want to tell stories about making a McSmart decision. That is right. McDonald's have a brand new McSmart meal. For $6.95, you can get your choice of 2 of the small cheeseburgers, either 2 cheeseburgers or 2 chicken and cheese, or 1 each, 2 in total, plus a soft drink and a small soft drink and a small fries. I want to talk about a McSmart decision that you made, and I would love to get Matty the Water Boy up here to tell, he used to, if a lot of people don't know this, but Matty used to work for the New South Wales squad when they won back-to-back titles as well, so there's that. But Matty, can you tell us was it your last ever?
Yeah, last series.
So last series with New South Wales, this is how Matty the Water Boy will be remembered by the New South Wales coaching staff.
So game 2, 2019, it was over in Perth. It's when Tommy Turbo come back and scored a hat-trick, which was a fantastic day. Obviously, I was very excited after the game. We had to, my only job after the game was to record like the post-match thing in the hotel. So I did that, and I was so excited. I had 2 beers in hand. I was just blah, blah, blah. Quickly record it. I think, screw it. I'll fix it all tomorrow. I'll get on the beers with everyone. It'll be fun. As I'm going to bed or leaving the thing to go out, I get pulled in by one of the coaches, I won't say who, to the top level, and in that room was the whole Origin team and the whole coaching staff. And I thought, wow, how good's this? This is the best. Don't make an idiot of yourself. Anyway, the coaching staff were drinking red wine, so I jumped on that train. I think about half an hour later, and this is in Brad Fittler's room, I start throwing up all over the kitchen, the dining room table. One of the coaching staff had a plate, put it under me, and Boyd Cordner stood up and yelled, "Go to the bathroom, you grub! Go to the bathroom!" And I was like, oh my God, that's the New South Wales captain. Anyway, went to bed, got up, had so much head noise, thought, far out, I'm going to have to explain myself. And then checked out, flight was at 3. When we checked out, I was like, I'll go to the pool, just hang out. Fell asleep, missed the flight home, had to get a new flight, midnight, red-eye, Melbourne to Sydney. So, yeah, I took about 3 days off work after that. It wasn't too good. But what I did, I made the smart choice for Game 3. I didn't drink at the third game.
There you go. There's his mixed smart choice was to just tone it back on the grog.
That doesn't deserve a round of applause. That's fine.
That's a big same game multi from Matty there.
And that's why we hired him. I mean, what a guy, man. What a guy. Now, boys, in regards to selection for the Origin side, your McDonald's mixed smart Origin either stories or selections tonight.
I'm telling my story.
You can tell your story.
All right, so 2014, people here might remember the year. I'm sitting there January, February at uni. I get my timetable for my exams, and I look at it 9 a.m. on a Thursday morning, and I thought, that's not good. That's not going to line up. Checked it. It was game 2, the morning after game 2, and I thought, okay, it'll probably go to a decider. That'll be okay. So I'm over here when Trent Hodkinson scores the try, as anyone would do, went straight to the casino. Exam was at 9 a.m, left the casino at about 9:45 the next morning and thought, I'm in some curry here. Got an Uber straight to the local doctor, went in to get a doctor's certificate, walked in. The first thing he said was, "What a game, you've earned this," and handed it to me. So instead of failing the exam that morning, I failed it 3 months later. Very successful.
And that is also why we brought Guru on board. Failing tests and just celebrating with the boy. Timmy, what about yourself, mate?
Yeah, the year, not a personal one, mate, but the year was 2004. The Blues were bidding for back-to-back series wins, and a young Laurie Daly went to sit down in a chair, and that chair happened to belong to one Phil Gould. Gus Gould, head coach at the time. Gus, unbeknowingly to him, sat down, took Loz's chair. Now, this moment had the chance to derail the Blues Origin campaign and what went on to be 3 series wins in a row. Loz, being the good bloke that he is, Canberra Raiders legend, New South Wales Blues legend, Loz sat there like an idiot for about 30 seconds. Instead of turning around and having a go at Gus Gould and saying, "You're in my chair, mate," and derailing the whole campaign, Loz sat there for 30 seconds on his knees just looking around like an idiot. He didn't say anything. We went on to win the series and won 3 in a row.
Oh, I love that. I mean, that's good. Look, Phil Gould, not necessarily a guy you want off on your bad side.
Yeah.
Hammy, what was your smart decision, mate?
Well, that one actually came up on my radar, but I've got another story. It's a real feel-good story, probably back in the early 80s. Young boy born in Bowraville, had to elect which state he was going to play for. Goes by the name of Greg Inglis. Chose Queensland 8 in a row.
True blue Queenslander.
That's my mixed smart story. Greg
True
Inglis.
blue.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, my
Make
mixed smart story was Gordon Tallis in under-19s, basically telling us all, you either throw a punch or you walk away. And it was mixed smart because I didn't know how to throw a punch, so I was lucky that the other boys, they basically flooded the fighting area. And so it was a mixed smart decision from Tallis to rile us all up to hopefully win the game. So if you're going to make a decision, you make it mixed smart.
How'd you go in that game, mate?
How did I go in that game?
How'd your team go?
Look, we didn't get the win because we were just focused on doing whatever we could for the main team to get the win, which they did. So,
Selfless.
Hey,
Selfless.
very selfless. Now, boys, in regards to selection, Zach Lomax and Suoliti
Climax.
Hey,
Zach Climax.
Zach Climax, exactly, Zach Climax.
Anytime Climax, 240 tonight.
Now, they've been both obviously selected. Now, you could make an argument that both players, not necessarily smokies by any stretch, but at the same time, if they weren't selected, I don't think there would have been a huge blow-up. Now, Madge has been pretty firm in that the 17 that he's named is going to be, as is. It's looking like they're going to be on the same edge together. Suoliti with Lomax on the wing. I'm hearing whispers that maybe Lomax might go to centre, Suoliti on the wing, but they're on the same edge. Do you think that's a smart thing, a big smart choice, or a not so smart choice by Madge?
I don't love them being next to each other. I love the idea of Lomax playing centre. I think I do prefer that. I'd rather Lomax there on his kick returns, but I just worry about those two defending together, marking up against Hamiso. At the same time, love them both coming out of their own end, and I think it's going to be a tight game tonight. If they can be aerial targets, that could be the difference tonight.
What do you reckon, Timmy? Would you split them up, or would you keep them on the same side together?
I don't think they're going to split them up. I would probably put Stephen Crichton over there, one of the best defensive centres, if not the best defensive centre in the NRL. I don't love the Zach Lomax decision, and I much prefer Joseph Suoliti on the wing. I think we've seen him play all his best footy at club level on the wing. Don't get me wrong, I think he can still be effective at centre. Zach Lomax is an interesting one, isn't he? If he goes out there and plays to instruction and has 25 runs and he competes for high balls and does all that, he'll go out there and have an 8 out of 10 game. And in what will be dewy conditions out on the surface out there, if he can score a try off a kick or set one up, that could be the difference in this game. He can win us an Origin game, potentially a series. The other side of Zach Lomax is throwing balls out his backside, chip chasing, putting in dumb kicks, doing all things that coach killers, I think we call them. Now, I don't think he's going to do that tonight, but I'm just a little bit concerned. The lights of a core stadium tonight, could they get to him? I think he'll be smart enough not to do it and rein it in. If that's the case, I'm happy with the edge. Need to see it from Zach Lomax.
What do you reckon, Zach Climax?
Climax, well, it sounds like Climax has had a bit of a chat to Madge, told him what he's really feeling. Honesty's the best policy maybe in the Blues camp this year.
Yeah, okay.
Doesn't want to play on the sting. And maybe going into centre. That's the mail that you're hearing?
Maybe a rift in camp because Lomax doesn't want to play on the sting.
Yeah,
The chance of that?
potentially. Yeah.
What do you reckon? As a die-hard Blues, what do you reckon, Matty? Lomax and Suoliti?
I'd put Suoliti on the left because that's where he plays for the Roosters, and I'd keep Lomax on the right. I'd stick Crichton next to Lomax, and then I'd have Toto on the left. I don't think you need to put... Crichton can play anywhere, and there's enough Penrith in the whole team. I don't think you need them all on one edge. That's what I do. I think it's too risky putting them together.
Do you think there's a chance that they might change it up come...
Well, that's not the word we're hearing, but I would have thought that's what they do. I'd be shocked. I mean, it sounds like it's going to go that way, but I would have thought Suoliti left, Lomax right wing.
Alrighty, in our opinion, one of the biggest, I wouldn't say bombshells, but questions that we have with the New South Wales squad, Matty Burton. Who reckons Matty Burton should have got the 14 jersey? We were very surprised that, obviously New South Wales aren't carrying a utility on the bench. Do you think, I know that all the word has been no changes. Do you think once the team runs out, it's going to be Burton at 14? Or do you think, he's going all in on this powerful bench?
I think he's going all in on this power bench. Yep. I would bring Burton into the side from a perspective of if you have injuries in the outside backs or in the halves, but also, surely we've learned by now, we need a long kicking game. There's no one better than Matt Burton in that regard, so I definitely have him there, but I don't think Madge will.
Okay, what do you reckon, Timmy?
I think it'll run out as named. I really been pretty vocal chatting on the potty this week that I don't like it. I think they're playing with fire, the Blues. I think even Billy Slater came out and said that the Maroons in 4 of their last 5 series have lost a player to the outside backs. They didn't have cover in a lot of those games. They got away with it. I just think that a 4-forward bench is very, very dangerous. And to have no cover with Matty Burton there, as I said, playing with absolute fire, I can't believe they haven't picked him.
What's surprising me the most about it is that, as we said on the podcast, it's one thing, I don't expect New South Wales to carry an outside back on the bench because Ben Hunt has been this unique weapon that Queensland have had for a few years now where he can play 6, 7, 9 or 13. And I think you'll find tonight Ben Hunt and Harry Grant will be on the field together at some stage. And so I'm not expecting New South Wales to carry an outside back any utility, but I'm just genuinely shocked that not even a utility. I really feel that Madge will be forcing at least one forward on the field that probably doesn't need to be on.
Yeah, and you look at it, and why I think there's probably not going to be any changes is that there's talk coming out of Blues camp that Ricky Stewart had Hudson Young training at centre his last 3 sessions to get him ready to play centre if the Raiders need to do it because they carry a 4-forward bench as well, generally with Tommy Starling there. Now, if I spent 3 sessions training at front row, that doesn't make me a prop, does it? And so I just think that in their heads, they're going, we can slot Huddy Young out there, but why Queensland can potentially get away with it, why they have in recent years. This year they've got Cobbo on the bench, they don't need to, but they'll have like a bit of an older, a bit of a slower James Tedesco or Dylan Edwards at fullback. We have to compete with Reece Walsh.
Yeah.
We saw that game before Origin teams would pick the Broncos and the Titans. The Titans had Beau Fermor and Dave Fifita defending at centre. Everything Reece Walsh did one-on-one with them, he burnt them every time, and I'm terrified that if Huddy Young ends out there as well, Reece Walsh will do the same.
Makes you wonder if Connor Watson was available, if he would have been picked or not.
The hot pirate.
I've my whispers, my sources, and they're pretty good sources, said that Connor Watson was locked in. He was the number 14 jersey. So I think that if he gets back to play, I think unless obviously New South Wales go out and absolutely kill it tonight, I think you're probably going to see Connor Watson in a Blues jersey this series. So that's what I heard.
Hey,
on the flip side of that, the positive. Oh, sorry.
On Matty Burton, I was going to say, when I got to sit down with the boys last week, I said to Matty, "You're playing next week, aren't you? Like you can tell me, you'll be playing come next Wednesday night." And he gave me nothing. I said, "Blink once if you're playing." And he didn't blink. Rumour has it coming out of the Blues camp, he still hasn't blinked since last Tuesday. So I reckon Matt Burton's playing tonight.
Okay,
Watch
so
his space.
you reckon Burton's going to...
I reckon he's in.
Okay, late call-in. Do you reckon Burton's getting a late call-in?
No, not a chance. I don't think Madge is like that. I don't think you'd do that to a debutant, and I don't think you'd do that to Hudson Young. I reckon you just would have named him at the start if he's going to play him.
Now, the positive for you New South Wales fans is if no injury happens, no outside back, and even if there's a forward injury, you've got to cover that. So essentially, as long as no outside back goes down or back goes down, the impact that you guys are going to have off the bench with that back line who we spoke about are averaging 100 more metres per game across a total, the outside backs, it's going to be a tough team to stop the roll on from, a really tough team, because as soon as, even if the Maroons manage to, I guess, withstand the initial blow of New South Wales coming out of their own end, boom, Spencer Linu comes in, Hudson Young, Olakau'atu. Like, that is a tough bench to be able to go with the momentum of them. What do you reckon? Are they hoping for that to happen? Like, as in regards to, is Madge, do you reckon in his heart of hearts?
Mate.
Sorry?
They're praying that happens.
Yeah, that's what I mean. In his heart of hearts, is he really convinced himself that, look, Hudson Young can play centre? Or do you think in his heart of hearts he's going, I'm just going all in on this game plan because I reckon this is how we beat them?
He has to be going all in. I don't know how you can ignore in the modern game with HIAs, sin bins, all these sort of things, how you can ignore the potential.
Yeah.
It's Origin too, it's Origin. Like you always get punched in the face. Nothing ever goes to plan, and it's about who reacts best, and that's what has me concerned.
Now, Michael Maguire, he signed a 2-year deal, part-time gig, very, very strange, 4 months or 5 months of work, very weird. He signed a 2-year deal, but let's say
They don't get it.
they don't get it. Oh, okay. I didn't say it. I believe it, but I didn't say it. Now, in regards to Michael Maguire, because he has been so, let's say he sticks with this team, it's a big, obvious, like the pros and cons are really obvious for everyone to see. Do you think this adds extra pressure? Let's say New South Wales do lose this series. Game one, by making this decision, it costs them. Do you reckon it adds extra pressure in regards to him keeping the job?
You're a pretty influential man these days, Denon, and you're planting these little seeds around the Blues camp, whether it's against our captains, whether it's like civil unrest amongst the squad. I'm not liking it. Because Madge Maguire, despite being a little bit vocal, a little bit critical of the lack of utility on the bench, people might sit there and go, Nico shouldn't have been picked, or such and such shouldn't have been picked, etc., etc. We've got to face it. We have had an unbelievable amount of injuries to our team this year, haven't we?
Yep.
So Madge has picked what he has available, and I'm happy with the team that he's picked, probably 95%. The utility on the bench, give or take Zach Lomax, but I have full faith in Madge to do this job, and I'm so excited for him going forward.
Just on Madge as well, I heard before that he's on the first day of camp, the Blues had like this big dinner, and then after that, he got the team and 85 ex-players to just get on the beers together. 85 ex-Origin players.
He gets Origin.
Yeah, that would have been a lot of war stories and really representing what the jersey's about, which is good. It's what you want to hear.
A lot of leaks coming out of the Blues camp.
Yeah, a lot of leaks,
aren't there?
Very leaky camp.
Well, the stream's dead, so just don't tell anyone.
Oh, is the stream actually dead?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Alrighty, let's get into Payne Haas. Is this his moment? Is this his moment? I know you know, he was brought into his first Origin series and he didn't actually play badly, but I think that a lot of people were expecting, like, he's going to be our next guy. Like, he's genuinely a front rower that competes with the standard of the Queensland forward pack. Now, I thought he was outstanding last series, but do you think this is a series where he can really show that not only is he incredible at club level, but he's also a level above at Origin level?
I think he's had really good series so far, but I don't think he's had that great series yet. I don't think he's had that series yet that he's left his stamp on that I'll remember as Payne Haas's series. And I think when you have a look at the squad we picked, as we've said, a lot of forwards and whatnot, I still want him playing 70 minutes. He has to be the guy, and he has to just rise above. Queensland, you know they're going to go for him. You know, they know that he's the vocal point. He just has to stand and deliver tonight, Payne.
Him and Carrigan are going to go toe-to-toe tonight. It's going to be a great battle.
Get on me here. Do you think it's Payne, like, although Jake Trbojevic is the captain, like the spiritual captain, do you think that Haas is almost the alpha in the pack now? That he needs to be that at least? At the very least, he needs to be that at the moment.
He absolutely needs to. And like, you look at the people he's been paired around as his middle forwards. There's Cameron McInnes, who is a smaller body.
91 kilos. Like Cam McInnes, I think he's the smallest lock in the comp. 91 kilos.
And then you add in Jake Trbojevic. Like, he's not a big prop forward. He's sort of named a prop, obviously captain, but he's a lock forward. He's a comparatively a smaller bodied middle forward. Isaiah Yeo coming on, obviously he, middle forwards, lock, prop, not a massive difference, but he's going from a ball-playing lock at Penrith, runs some big metres, but still, it's a different body shape, so Payne Haas, there's a lot of pressure on him, and he doesn't play many bad games, but he can't just be good for us. I'm with Guru. I think they need to try and play him 60 to 65 minutes, and I know Origin's a different ball game, the fatigue in it, it's so different to club level, but nothing that I've seen Payne Haas do to date in his career has suggested to me that he can't go 60, 65 in Origin.
So, just for reference, Jake Trbojevic and Isaiah Yeo, they weigh the same, about 105, 106 kilos. So, you're right in regards to, although they're big blokes, they're not anywhere near as big as a guy like Payne Haas. And so, they're going to need Payne Haas to step up and be that alpha. And I do think that it's probably the one thing missing from Payne Haas's resume at the moment. We always talk about him being the best, front rower in the game, or at least one of the best. But he hasn't really, he's played well, and anyone that says he's played poorly at Origin, I strongly disagree. But at the same time, he hasn't really, I put it this way, I feel like when you watch him at club, you probably would assume he's already had the Origin series because he's so good at club all the time. Like, when was the last time Haas played poorly? And so I do think that it is time for Haas to become the alpha of the pack. Not just necessarily play well, but I feel like he needs to get to a point, like, put it this way, when New South Wales play Queensland, I do feel that not necessarily they fear Tino, but he is like someone they go, oh man, like Tino's going to be a big problem. I don't think Queensland are as concerned about Haas as New South Wales are about Tino. And I think this is Haas's opportunity to do that, even though I would argue Haas plays better at club than Tino. Tino plays great at club, but you know what I'm saying? So I do believe he needs to be the alpha this year for New South Wales, and he absolutely has it. And look, he's 24 years old? Like, it's absolutely incredible he's 24 years old. Okay, in regards to minutes, we were just talking about Haas getting 65, 70 minutes. Do you feel, where does Isaiah Yeo, Cam McInnes and Robson fit into this jigsaw?
I think Reece Robson plays the 80.
Okay.
I think that's the plan going in. If that's not the plan going in, we said it during the league, I think you have to start Cam McInnes at hooker for the first 15-20 and then bring Reece Robson into it. I don't want Cam McInnes having a 20-minute go at hooker during the game. So I think you go all in on Robson, or you start with Cam McInnes to get through that tough work early. Where they put Isaiah Yeo, I'm not too sure yet.
Because, just as much as Isaiah Yeo needs to play a lot of minutes there's certain players that they accrue their effectiveness. You put them on for 20 minutes, it's almost pointless. They need to build the game. Like, for example, Cameron Smith is a perfect example of a player that you don't want on for 20 minutes. You want him laying seeds, as Timmy would say, putting the seeds down in the first 10 minutes, and then the 70th minute is when it gets, delivered on. So the problem is McInnes is also that kind of player. Do you really only want him on for 20 minutes? Where do you see that landing?
Fascinating one. I would have that first 20 minutes of Origin sets everything up, doesn't it? An absolute dogfight. You don't necessarily need creative weapons in around your team. You just want blokes who'll go in there, who'll handle the pressure and that first 20-minute onslaught. And I think that's why Cameron McInnes has been picked in this one. I think he'll go out there, he'll make 20 plus tackles in the first 20 minutes. I would have him on for that first probably 25, and then I'd bring Isaiah on with as a more, let's call him more agile middle forward than Cam McInnes. A more agile middle forward, slot into that ball playing lock role that he does at club level. I'd go with that, and I'd have Cam McInnes 25, Isaiah coming on for 55, and then you can probably bring Cam McInnes back on later in the piece. If Reece Robson doesn't go 80 on with Roo, I think he probably does, but he can come on and play 10-15 at number 9 if needed.
What do you reckon, Amy?
Wouldn't surprise me if Robson started on the bench, McInnes started at 9. Once the sting's out of the game, Robson comes on then. Just keep it nice and simple for New South Wales, and just keep the defence pretty tight. Take your point that you made earlier in the week, Roo, about if Yo gets in there, is he going to kind of step on Nico's toes a little bit? But I reckon they'll probably just want to go defence first, and then let Robson loose once the game opens up a little bit.
Alrighty, before we get on to Queensland, I know Queensland fans are absolutely stinging the lot of you to get on to Queensland. We are going to give our player of the match for New South Wales. Who do you think will be New South Wales' best player?
You know me, Kempy, I'm a big narrative guy, so I'm taking Teddy.
Oi! Oh no, she's falling apart.
James Tedesco for me, mate.
Tedesco?
He's coming.
I'll go
he's
with,
coming,
mate, I like Angus Crichton. Also, I guess you call it a bit of a redemption story. He had a tough 2023, and the form he's been in for the Roosters has been unbelievable, and I think we'll probably get to game plan shortly, but I think a lot of the Blues attack is going to be going to Angus Crichton, going to Jeremiah and I, that corridor between him and Daly Cherry-Evans, and I think Angus Crichton's in for a big one, massive value, so I think Gussie Crichton.
Don't forget with Nathan Cleary out of the side as well, Angus Crichton's got to step up as the biggest chin in the New South Wales side as well, so he's got a big role to play there. I'm a narrative guy as well, like Roo, though. I think it's set up beautifully for Teddy to come in and have a big game.
I think Reece Robson, I think he's going to make 50 tackles, and because it's going to be a low-scoring game, I reckon he's going to set up a try, just a little short ball to maybe Crichton. So, yeah, I'll go Reece Robson.
I'm going to go my boy Payne Haas. I think that he's ready for this moment. I think that he had an incredible grand final last year, the biggest game of his career. Obviously, Penrith went on to win it, but you go back and watch that, and like Brisbane aren't even in the fight if Payne Haas doesn't play the way he played. I think it's going to be an incredible series from him, and I do think that we may look back on it and go, Payne Haas did what Queensland forwards do to New South Wales. He did that to Queensland. So I think Payne Haas will be New South Wales' best player. Now, before we get to Queensland, don't forget, guys, scan a code for a chance to win a Mike Horman portable refrigerator. In our next little segment, just a quick segment, Mr. Cool or Mike Horman, the coolest. Who's the coolest Queensland player under pressure? I'll go first. Darren Lockyer scooping up a ball that was thrown to win the series. That's Mike Horman one. Darren Lockyer, what about you? Who's your Mike Horman?
I'm going to go Matty Bowen intercept on Brett Kamali in extra time.
Oh, yeah, the mango.
Was it Paul Gallen when he put one on?
Oh, here we go.
Cool under pressure.
Oh, who's your...
I'm going to go Adam Mogg, putting his arm around the corner post at the Telstra Dome in 2006.
I'm going to go Cherry Evans deciding not to take a field goal in 2019 and then Teddy score the next set.
Yeah.
Oh,
Low
wow. Disrespectful.
Security.
Disrespectful. All right, as I said, guys, once this is done, scan the QR code for your chance to win a portable refrigerator. They are absolutely fantastic. I think they retail for around the $500 mark. And also support Mike Horman, because without them, this wouldn't have been put on. So they support us, so support them, please. Now, let's talk about some mixed smart decisions, and that's Queensland. Just some smart selections. Yeah. Billy Slater, oh man, what a genius, the bush poet. Wow, he's getting better looking by the day. It's just, seriously, it's all lining up. It's all lining up.
The salt and pepper.
Now, all jokes aside, a mixed smart decision, one of the best decisions I think we've seen the last few years for Origin. When it happened, I think everyone was a bit taken aback. Selwyn Cobbo on the bench. But as we've all dug deeper into the statistics, it would suggest to be quite a good decision by Billy Slater. Now, the proof will be in the pudding. If no outside back goes down and he's on the bench and we could have used an extra forward, then obviously, we'll look back on it and say it was the wrong decision. Do you think it was a mixed smart decision by Billy Slater to have Selwyn Cobbo on the bench?
It's interesting. I sort of think Madge has gone too far one way and Billy's almost gone too far the other way.
Okay.
To some extent. Like, I would rather have someone that can play in the halves as well. Like a Matt Burton, essentially, is what I would rather. But
for Queensland or for New South Wales?
I'm saying like that type of player. Like
Benny Hunt can.
What's that?
Benny Hunt can play in the halves.
Yeah, no, for sure. But he's gone he's sacrificed a forward to have an extra winger on the bench.
Okay.
So when you take into consideration he's got Ben Hunt as well, like it's really leaning in the other direction.
Okay.
But Selwyn Cobbo's a big body. We saw him for Brisbane last year, play 10 or 15 minutes where he needed. And I mean, Billy's got the advantage that he could probably pick Hammy to go play in the front row, and maybe not Hammy, but
Hamiso's in the team.
and they'd probably do a job for him. So
Will the real Hammy please stand up?
I'll do whatever my state needs me to do, Kenji.
Timmy, what do you reckon? Is he a genius, or is it? Has he thought to? Is he trying to outthink the room?
He's not a genius because he left out your best player, Dave Fafita. But as far as the 17 goes...
pick and stick.
Yeah, pick and stick. Yeah, please.
The Queensland pick and stick, or is it all nonsense? Okay, it's all nonsense. All right.
But, mate, in terms of the Selwyn Cobbo on the bench decision, I think he's made the right one. And I mentioned the one about, I think, Queensland the last 5 games, something they've lost an outside back. There was also a stat floating around during the week. In the NRL this season, 84%... in games where a team have lost an outside back and haven't had bench cover, they've lost them to a HIA or an injury or whatever, they've gone on to lose 84% of the time.
Yeah.
You add that to Queensland losing players last year, to the Blues losing a back last year and Damien Cook going to centre, which cost us, I think it was game 1, that is some very recent data to suggest pick a bloody utility. So it's also interesting because Billy didn't pick one last year, went with a 4-forward bench and got away with it despite these injuries. Despite getting away with it, he's still going to pick Selwyn Cobbo on the bench.
And I think that's a really good point you bring up because, you know, we've been quite critical of Madge picking a 4-forward bench. And granted, obviously Queensland had Benny Hunt, but let's just assume he selected almost like a lock. It worked for Queensland last year. So to suggest that, you know, we've been talking about the negatives of Madge not picking a utility, but at the same time, it did work for Queensland. They managed to make it work. I think Fafita spent some time in the centres. I think Cotter might have even been out there for a little bit.
I think Cotter did it,
Yep.
and goes back to my point before, mate. They didn't have to defend the quickest bloke, probably in the NRL, over 10 metres. Yep. Not just his Reece Walsh lightning over 10 metres, it's just his footwork and his ability to go in and away at pace, catch it flat, do all that. They didn't have to defend that. And that's not a knock on Tedesco. He's just not as quick as Reece Walsh over that space.
Yep.
So that's why they got away with it.
Yeah. Hammy, what do you reckon? Genius or...
I think it very well could be genius. If there's an injury or even an HIA, a 10-minute period where you need to bring an outside back on, it'll be an absolute masterstroke. But it's also one of those selections that actually could work if there's no injuries. He could come and play a role through the middle for 10, 15 minutes or just give you a bit of chaos off the bench as well. So I actually quite like it. I think it's pretty smart. And I'm a big data guy like Timmy, so I think it's a good selection.
Well, I just think that if it was a small outside back, I wouldn't have liked it.
Yep.
It's the fact that Selwyn Cobbo is big. Matter of fact, he's bigger than McInnes. He's bigger than Cotter. He's bigger than Hopgood. He's bigger than a lot of starting forwards. Like, he is a big, big body, and I think that's what really works for me. Initially, I was quite shocked, but the fact that he's a big body, and I think that, put it this way, I do think that if there is no injuries, I think you will see him in the middle at some stage. Like, I don't think he's just going to sit on the bench and not be played.
Imagine Kempy being the Blues 65 minutes into this game. Reece Robson's just played 65 minutes of Origin footy straight. You've got, another middle forward there who's gone out and played massive minutes straight as well. Payne Haas has just come on for his second stint. He's on track for going 65, 70 minutes in a game. And Selwyn Cobbo's coming at you, fresh as a daisy through the middle. You're going, stuff that.
Yeah, it'll be tough. What do you reckon, Matty?
I actually really like it. And I hate to say it, but as Guru said before, Slater's gone one way, Madge has gone the other. I would much rather Cobbo in the forwards than I would pretty much any of our forwards in our halves or backs.
Fair.
I reckon it's a great move. I'm frightened. I'm literally scared of Cobbo coming on. If Walsh goes down, we can put Cobbo or Hammer at fullback. I think it's a genius move.
The wheels are falling off here. New South Wales, they're scared.
Literally shitting his pants.
You blokes
Literally.
just tipped 2 Blues players to be man of the match. So
No.
Best Blues
For the
player.
Blues. See, they don't.
Bit of
Blues fans, they
attention to
don't listen. They
detail.
don't listen. Now, what hasn't been spoken about quite a lot is Munster. He's out. Queensland are missing a few people, but Munster's out, and I know that New South Wales are missing a lot of people too.
We're
but
decimated.
We are decimated, and we're the underdogs too. I know the betting odds don't have us as underdogs. Like Queensland, I just hope the boys turn up and have a go. That's all I care about. But it has to be talked about. What is?
I'm just saying the odds have gotten closer.
The odds have gotten closer. See, I told you, people are starting to understand Queensland are underdogs. Queensland $1.85, New South Wales $1.98, and you know, by the time kickoff comes around, you just never know, mate.
Makes you think.
Makes you think.
Yeah.
But all jokes aside, Munster not in the side. Dearden's only in his second game. Like, he's only in his second game, and it's not being spoken about at all. Like, I know he played well in his first game, but it's not a sure thing that he's just going to come in and kill it. Is it a concern that he might come in, be a bit rattled by the fact that he's probably going to have to play a whole series, or are you just like 100% confident that he can get the job done?
I hate to say it, but I'm 100% confident he gets the job done. I just think he's an Origin player, dude. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think obviously you'd prefer to have Cameron Munster there at 5'8", but I do think one thing that may actually work out in your favour with Tommy Dearden there is just, I think, so much of your game plan. You can do what Queensland do. You'll knock down the door, the middle corridor, you'll play high percentage football, you'll kick early. Again, dewy surface. Ches has the best kicking game on the field. It'll be long kicks, long kicks, long kicks. It'll be about getting Reece Walsh into space. And the way Dearden goes to the line, straightens up and creates that space out the back, that is made for Reece Walsh. Whereas Cameron Munster, Cameron Munster doesn't know what Cameron Munster's going to do when he gets the ball.
Yeah.
That's hard to play off. Don't get me wrong, as a Blues fan, I'm much happier to see Tom Dearden than Cameron Munster, but that's a silver lining that'll work for you.
Will be sweet. Obviously, Munster's a loss, but there's enough kind of weapons in that Queensland backline, and even Cobbo off the bench to provide that spark and that kind of ad hoc footy. So obviously he's a loss, but we've seen Dearden do it before. He was the right choice, I think, to fill in when Munster wasn't available. Stop panicking, Queensland fans.
Yeah, don't panic, Queenslanders. Yeah. It's all good. We'll be sweet.
Yeah, I 2 years ago, I thought Dearden would get targeted. I thought he'd have not have a bad game. I didn't think he'd play as good as he did. And just because he did that, yeah, I haven't even thought about it, to be honest. He'll play well. He'll be fine.
Now, one guy that hasn't been spoken about quite a lot, we've spoken a bit about Talangi because obviously form-wise hasn't been that great, but he's been good in Origin. Holmes as well. We've spoken about Selwyn Cobbo, obviously. But I do think Xavier Coates, he hasn't really been, like we've spoken about how important Toto is, Suoliti coming out of his own Lomax. Xavier Coates has arguably been the best winger this year, and this hasn't really been a peep about what he can do, the damage he can do. You know, we've spoken about Lomax and Suoliti in the crossfield kicks. Xavier Coates is nearly as good as both of those players. Do you think that might be a weapon that almost we're expecting Suoliti and Lomax to score crossfield kicks? Could we walk away and Coates has scored maybe a couple of crossfield kicks?
Well and truly, I think at the start of the year when we were picking our Queensland sides, I'm not sure if I had Coates in mind.
He wasn't in my side.
And then we come to picking the teams, and he's the first outside back picked.
Yeah, he's so good at the moment.
He's had a really underrated season. The big moments he's come up with, he's been incredible.
And he also gets that matchup with Brian Toto, which he's so incredible, Brian Toto. I remember when he first got picked for Origin, and he had, I can't remember who it was, but it was a big, tall, leaping winger on him, and I just went, how's he going to be able to handle this bloke over the top? And we now know that he uses his strength. He's shorter, but he just muscles him out of the way. You still got to look at, though, and it's still Xavier Coates on Brian Toto. Like, Queensland is still going to say, we've got to be every chance at utilising this. What I did find fascinating was that of those outside four, I don't really know why, and it worked for him last year, but Murray Taulagi, he's the only one playing in his club position. The other three have all changed sides. Yeah. It worked for Queensland last year. As a Blues fan, I sit there and go, I know it worked, but there's still opportunities there. Combinations aren't there, so...
There hasn't been a more clutch winger than Coates this year in the comp. Some big moments. That amazing try that he scored right at the end of the game down in Melbourne a couple of weeks ago. He's owned the big moments, and that's going to be very important tonight. So you're spot on, right guy for the job, and probably the first pick in that back line.
If he was on debut, I'd be like, oh, he could shoot himself on the big stage. But he debuted in Origin, I think in 2020 in Adelaide, and he killed it. So he's played there before. Yeah, he's another one I'm a bit worried about.
Now, in regards to DCE, where do you rank DCE? Like, let's say he wins this series. Where does he rank? Like, I put it this way: DCE has a really interesting career because if you didn't have Origin, you'd almost say he's a good halfback at club. You know, ranked, I don't know, like probably like 4th or 5th in his generation. You could even say, look, over the last 10 years, they haven't really made much of a dent in the final series. But because he's had Origin, you have to look at him as one of the best halves of his generation, or at least since, you know, the Cronks and the Thurstons and retired. Where does he rank for you at the moment, DCE?
He honestly ranks higher for me than most, and I can't believe I'm saying that because I didn't imagine it 4 years ago.
Yeah,
but he's been the guy that's led you out of that Immortals team.
It's actually crazy. Like, if he put it this way, there was a fork in the road 4 years ago, and they could have gone another direction, Queensland.
Yeah.
They gave an opportunity. I think he lost his first 2 series as like the leader, but ever since then, like to think that DCE has outplayed Nathan Cleary in the Origin arena, it's actually amazing.
And you look back to Cam Smith, Billy Slater, these guys all laid the platform for DCE. Like, he's now laid a platform for the 14, 26-year-olds you've got there. Like, I think DCE, his Origin career is going to age very well when we look back on it.
Yeah, a lot of football experts far sharper than I am say that halves peak in the NRL at around that 28, 29, 30 age range where their body's still with it. They know the game inside out. They've got the football smarts. As a number 7, that's what you do. You get your team around the park. By 35 years old or whatever DCE is now, your smart's getting better, but at some point your body's getting a little bit slower. You know, your movement's a little bit less. You're a bit less agile. He's like a fine wine. Like, his body hasn't given up anything. He's hardly missed a game in the space of his 10, 12-year career. He's getting better and better and better. So he's the best half on the field comfortably tonight, and he's going up against a bloke who has 4 grand finals in a row and 3 premierships in a row.
Hammy?
Yeah, he's just he's like Benjamin Button, just getting better and better with age. He's done it at Clubland. He's had success in the Origin arena. I've got him right up there with Scott Prince for me in terms of as a Queensland halfback. So he's right at the top for me.
I think as a leader as well, not only did he drag him out of the Immortal stage, he dragged him out of the worst Queensland team ever. And then in 2021, New South Wales put a record on Queensland. He dragged him out of that in 2022 as well. So, yeah, he's a Queensland legend for me.
Alrighty, before we finish, and also after this, make sure to come up, say hi. We've got some giveaways here. We've got some bloke thongs, some shirts, stubby coolers, everything. So make sure to come up and say hi. All right. Before we finish up, how did New South Wales, how much do they win by? And also, how do they get the job done? What's going to be the point of difference for New South Wales tonight?
I think New South Wales win by 4, and, we talked about the Blues. I think Payne Haas needs to be the best forward on the field, and Nico Hines needs to take full control of this side. There needs to be no question marks about whether it's Yo's team, Teddy's team. Nico, win, lose or draw, if Nico just takes control, I can live with that.
Blues will win by, it'll be tight, it'll be 2 points. After potting Zach Lomax and having a little bit of a concern for him earlier, I love our back 3 and I love the metres they run for about, this year in the NRL, about 150 metres more per game. I think if we took away length of the field tries, that'd be even more. And the way the game's going these days, and you see with the Penrith Panthers, their back 3, they've got the best back 3 in the competition when it comes to yardage by a mile and how successful it's been. We have a lot better than what the Maroons have out of their back 3, and I think that'll be the difference.
Queensland 1 to 12, I think we'll be grateful we had a bit of cover in the back line on the bench for me. And I reckon 1 or 2 moments of individual brilliance could catch the judge's attention for the player of the match. I think it'll be the hammer tonight.
Blues by 6, and we're just going to go through the front door, through the middle. Simple as that.
If the Blues win, it'll be just completely dominating field position. If they win well, I do think that the New South Wales Blues will almost have Queensland camped down in their half for very long periods of time, and eventually Queensland might break. If Queensland can find a way to withstand that pressure and use guys like Reece Walsh to almost just break the pressure valve, and if you're coming at our own end and there's an early spin and you get out on the edges and you can make 40 metres, if they do that enough against New South Wales, I think it may frustrate New South Wales. It's just a matter of if they can. So if New South Wales had a win, I think you're going to see a lot of field position in Queensland's half, like a lot. I don't think it'll be a high-scoring game, or if it is, it'll be in the last 10 minutes, but it'll just be purely about pressure. If Queensland win, I think it'll just be too much, too many ways to score, I think, for Queensland. When you look at that back line, when you look at Reece Walsh, I do see a world where their skill set is just too high. Their skill set is just too much for New South Wales to handle.
Agree. Completely
I think
agree.
Queensland.
Yes,
up to Queensland.
Talking a lot of sense,
Other
Kevy.
Blues.
Completely agree.
So I think Queensland 20-16. Alrighty.
Security, all of these.
Security. I'm feeling intimidated. Anyway, guys, a massive thank you to Mike Corman. Make sure to scan the QR code for a chance to win one of these. A massive thank you to McDonald's, the brand new McSmart meal. 2 small cheeseburgers, a small soft drink, a small fries for $6.95.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.